welcome to the first ever episode of DCC Daily. My name is Delaney Stoney, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Families Director here at Downtown Community Church. I have the distinct honor and privilege of welcoming you to our first ever DCC Daily story. By story, I don't mean I'm going to read you a children's book. Instead, I get a chance to share with you a story of Christ-centered life change one of the elementary school teachers, Gage, and myself recently experienced with one of our students, Elijah. Here's the thing about Elijah. He loves big. He just hides it. What 7-year-old boy doesn't? Elijah shows his love for you by squirting you with water guns or clipping a clothespin to you while you aren't looking. These little moments are how we know that while we may be the lamest people in the world in his eyes, he adores his teachers on Sundays. This winter, Elijah played soccer with the city of Tallahassee. So when he asked us to come to one of his games, the answer was obvious. Yes. Gage and I couldn't help but think that this would make us cool in his eyes. We figured we would cheer from the sidelines, but not make too big of a deal in order to maintain the level of cool clearance we had just obtained. While at the soccer field, I turned around and noticed Elijah was running towards me. He ran up to me and said, "Miss Delaney, can I introduce you and Mr. Gage to my friends?" Y'all, when I say it took everything in me not to start jumping in a circle around this child and lose every cool point I had just gained. I mean, it took everything. This was a huge answered prayer for my ministry. While having a 7-year-old boy introduce you to his friends from soccer may not seem like Christ-centered life change, I promise you it is. This moment is a big moment of trust. Imagine 2 of your friend groups are meeting for the first time and you have no idea how they're going to get along. Well, this is exactly what was happening for Elijah. His Sunday people were meeting his Saturday people. And I'd be lying to y'all if I said that he wasn't nervous to make the introduction. But he trusted Gage and I. He trusted that we would support him. He also felt loved enough by us to know he wanted his friends to know us. Elijah trusted us and invited us into more of his life. This is the exact same thing we do as adults when we accept Jesus. First, we trust that God is real. We trust that he is with us, call him off of the sidelines, and pull him right into the center of our game of life. Then, as we begin to trust him more, know him more, and see him show up in our lives, we start introducing our friends to him. We want our Saturday people to know our Sunday people. We don't want church to be restricted to Sundays, but we want it to flow into the rest of our week. Don't worry, I know that Elijah didn't give his life to Christ before his soccer game last month. But what he did do was decide to trust Gage and me. He decided to trust us with more parts of his life than before and allowed us the chance to know him better. From this foundation of trust, Gage can speak God's truth into Elijah's life when Elijah is experiencing fear, when he's experiencing doubt, when he has questions. And Elijah will trust God because he trusts Gage. In staff meeting, I like to call stories like these pre-CCLCs. I call them this because in these pre-CCLCs, not all of my kiddos give their lives to Christ. But the stories are a step in the direction of salvation. Who knew that life change like this could happen at a soccer field? Thank you all for listening to this episode of DCC Daily. Keep up with our church via our social media pages, our YouTube channel to access previous sermons, and our Sunday services, both in person and online. As you go throughout this week, I encourage you to find ways to pull God into your life this week instead of having him stand on the sidelines.